Hello, I'm Game Retainer, and in this video I've put together a beginner's guide to vehicles in 7 days to die. If you are new and you want to learn more about the game, I will link one of my videos. Where shall I put it? I'll put it up there because that's the only place I can put it. Now, let's jump straight in. There are a total of 5 vehicles in 7 days to die. There's the bicycle, the minibike, the motorbike, the 4x4, and the gyrocopter. Each one has different requirements, and the latter you're not going to unlock until the later stages of the game. But let's take a look at the first one. The bicycle is the first vehicle that you will unlock. Now there are a couple of ways you can obtain it. The first is you can learn to craft it, and you do this by reading a total of 5 vehicle adventure magazines. The second is by completing 10 trader missions for Trader Direct, or any trader that you found, but you'll need to complete 10 missions. Upon completing the 10th mission, one of the possible rewards you'll be able to take is the bicycle, and I recommend taking it. It doesn't require any fuel, obviously, because it's a bicycle. It does have a boost feature, but that will cost stamina. It's not really costing for me because I'm in God mode, because it's easier to record. As for its modifications, there's not a whole lot you can do to this one. You can add lights and change the color. That's, in my research, that's it, so I don't know why there is a second modifier slot. Maybe a veteran player can let me know why. I have no idea. You can pick up a bike and store it and carry it around with you. A bicycle also has a total of 9 storage spaces, which, not ideal, but during the early stages, it can be very helpful when it comes to taking all that lovely loot back to your base. The second vehicle is the Minibike. Now, the Minibike can be crafted by players after reading 20 vehicle adventure magazines. I will explain how to get vehicle adventure magazines a bit later on in this video, so hang tight for that. The Minibike relies on fuel, as does all the other vehicles except for the bicycle. It has 2 speeds. It has standard speed and then a boosted speed. As you can hear the difference there, where I press the button to run, that starts the boosted speed. As for modifications, you can have the following: the vehicle supercharger mod, the vehicle reserve fuel tank mod, the vehicle off-road light mod, the vehicle fuel saver mod, and the expanded seating mod. The way you unlock these is by finding individual schematics. As for its storage capacity, the minibike has 27 slots, so considerably more than the bicycle. Now let's move on to the motorbike. The motorcycle can be crafted after you've read a total of 45 vehicle adventure magazines. Now this bad boy is great on-road, off-road. It's just an all-round great vehicle. It has a total of 36 storage slots. It's pretty modifiable, and just its overall performance is not to be sniffed at. It is fast. I am using the speed boost mod, which I'll show you in a minute. It is pretty durable too. You can take some pretty considerable knocks and not lose that much damage. I'll show you here if I go into this lovely wall. See how underwhelming that crush was? That's 3% durability that cost. And just like all the other vehicles, you can repair it with a repair kit. This is fast, it's unapologetic, it's phenomenal. The only tricky thing with this vehicle is if you are driving at speed, it's very easy to accidentally spin out and lose control, so be mindful when trying to do tight turns. But other than that, it's hard to knock this vehicle. Handling's good, steering's good, fuel consumption's good, yeah, just you can't go wrong. As for its mods, it can take everything that the minibike can, along with the vehicle armor mod. The loadout I like to have on this vehicle is the armor mod, the supercharger mod, the fuel saver mod, and the reserve tank fuel mod. But they're just my picks. The 4x4 is the next vehicle on the list, and you can craft this after reading a whopping 70 vehicle adventure magazines. The good thing about the 4x4 truck is it has the largest storage capacity of any other vehicle in the game, with an impressive 81 slots. Unfortunately, that's where the good times end with this one. It is pretty modifiable. It can take all of the ones from the motorcycle except for the vehicle armor mod. Instead, it can take a plow, which is pretty good for driving through crowds of zombies at night. However, there is one glaring downside. I will attach the mods that I like, just to show you. You can attach pretty much every mod because it does have one extra slot than the previous entry. Unfortunately, this is built like a wet paper towel. I'm pretty certain if a passenger farted next to me in the car, one of the wheels would fall off. It doesn't take a lot to severely damage this vehicle. Not only that, but if you're driving off-road in this and you hit a big rock or anything that you can't quite get over, it's not uncommon for you to start doing aerial gymnastics and spinning in the sky. And that is a real pain in the ass because with every spin, you'll just do more damage. Even there, I hit a cactus and I'm down, and I'm doing some spinnies. I don't particularly like using this vehicle. The only times I will use it is when I'm using the Gyrocopter. I will pack this up inside the Gyrocopter, park on the outskirts of a city, and then use this to drive through, fill it up with loot, split it up between my drone and my Gyrocopter before going home. It is one of the best looking vehicles in the game, if not the best. It does fit the survivor's allure. It is also one of the best vehicles in terms of carrying other players outside of using mods. So if that's what you like doing, then fantastic, do that. But you can just plow through zombies with this. However, the sheer number of times that you'll need to repair this is just crazy. So unless you're willing to spend a lot on repair kits, or just drive better, I guess, be careful around this one. The last vehicle that you'll learn to craft is the Gyrocopter. You'll need to max out your Vehicle Adventure magazine collection and read a total of 100 of them in order to be able to craft this. This is a fun vehicle to fly, a difficult vehicle to master, and in all honesty, it is a bit buggy, but still, it's fine. As for storage, it has considerably less slots than the 4x4, it has 45. What I like to do, as I mentioned in the previous entry, I like to store my 4x4 or my motorcycle inside the Gyrocopter, fly to the outskirts of a town, leave the Gyrocopter on the outskirts, and then drive around looting with a vehicle. I should say, once you're done looting and you've loaded up your car of choice with all its valuable loot, you will not be able to pick it up. You'll have to empty it, put your loot inside your Gyrocopter, and then pick up your motorcycle or 4x4 or whatever you're using. So be mindful of slots for that. As for its modifications, it can take everything that the motorcycle can, minus the dual seat, or the extra seat, I should say. You can have a maximum of 2 people in the Gyrocopter. As for its abilities in the sky, it is buggy, as I mentioned. It does get you from A to B very quickly, which is fantastic. It's not terrible on fuel, not when compared to the 4x4. The biggest flaw with driving this, or flying this, is accidentally getting out prematurely. The amount of times I've accidentally pressed the wrong button and plummeted back down to earth considerably faster than I wanted to, well, it's embarrassing to admit, so be careful with what buttons you're using. It can also be a little tricky to fly in the first place. It does take a bit of practice because it's quite a sensitive vehicle, and if you just take all hands off controls and let it glide, you will eventually just plummet down to the ground, which is not great. So you have to land it, and you have to land it somewhat smoothly. It can take a bumpy landing, but you might damage it a little bit. But it's much more durable than the 4x4. So this is a vehicle that is worth getting. Perfect landing. Now that we've covered the vehicles, let's take a look at some perks. If you go into your skills and you take a look at Grease Monkey, this does a couple of things. Investing just 1 point into Grease Monkey not only makes crafting bicycle parts and wheels cheaper and repair kits more effective, but it also increases your odds at finding Vehicle Adventure magazines. So it's definitely worth putting at least 1 point into Grease Monkey. The cost reduction and the effectiveness of repair kits is also quite good. You still won't be able to craft them, you will be able to assemble them. What I mean by that is if I open up my creative menu, you can see here, you need, in order to build a gyrocopter, you need a chassis, accessories, and then I think you need an engine, some wheels, and whatnot. I can show you in the menu here. So I can assemble this, but I can't craft the necessary components, which brings me on to my next point. You can also get vehicles and vehicle parts from traders. Trader Bob has the highest chance of stocking these because he is the game's vehicle vendor, and that's a tricky one to say. Now there's no guarantee, and his stock will depend on things like your skill selection, your game stage, your nan's last name, your dog's date of birth, all sorts of weird things. But if you invest a few points into the Daring Adventurer, you will get better trade items and more dukes for completing missions, which is also good. And if you max it out, you'll pick 2 rewards for completing a mission. Now the reason why I mention that is because it's not uncommon to be offered a vehicle bundle upon completing a mission. The vehicle bundle, as its name suggests, will have parts of vehicles inside it. You can see the image on the front depicting what kind of stuff you'll find. You're not going to find an entire motorcycle, however, you will find a core component like a chassis. You will also get a vehicle parts bundle box inside each of the vehicle bundles themselves. And that will contain something like a battery, a wheel, an engine, something handy. So if you come across these as a reward, or if you're lucky enough to find them in a loot container, I would absolutely pick them up. Because, as I mentioned in a previous entry, you can craft the gyrocopter, or any vehicle, without the magazine requirement. What you can't craft are the parts to make them. So if you're lucky enough to be able to find the parts, you can craft these whenever you like. I hope you found this video interesting or helpful. This video was aimed at beginners, so there are other more complex mechanics that I'm sure some of the veteran players might mention in the comments below. But hopefully this beginner's guide helped you enough to get you on your journey through vehicles in 7 Days to Die, and I will catch you in the next video.